Very good. Thank you.
Let's see if I can find Kathleen.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I only have mom. I'll text her when we're finished and tell her we prayed for them and what's her mom's name. Okay, chapter 4, the voices of angels and prophets. How many of you have told the Advent stories using the Godly Play storytelling?
I know Trinity did. I didn't, but they
Have
have
has
one thing.
anybody done that? Each week is that exactly what how Matt Skinner organized his book, so that the prophets and the family, Mary and Joseph, the angels and the shepherds all announce Jesus' birth. So that's kind of been a fun thing to renew and remember is this process of storytelling too that he's taken a look at. Um, so let's start in his chapter 4. Before we look at as we look at the Bible readings. And what is anything there that, I mean, everything did. I have this chapter is almost completely
Yeah.
blind. What struck you hmm, as an epiphany, a manifestation?
Yeah.
Well, for one thing, I like his question. How did the world at large come to know that the Messiah is here? The world at large. That's what
That's a wonderful.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah.
And
Well,
oh,
go ahead.
I just have a comment, a tag along from the page 78, the second paragraph, and almost to the middle of it. He says, "My point is, if people learn about the ancient world and its cultures, investigate Jewish teachings from the time of Jesus, study theoretical conventions that shape the New Testament documents communicated to the original audiences, become proficient with biblical Greek and Hebrew, talk with others about what they observe in the Bible, and familiarize themselves with how the Bible has been interpreted over the centuries, they will notice more in the Bible and maybe approach it with a wider imagination."
Yeah.
That's quite an assignment for the guy sitting in the pew.
It's a huge.
And
I
the person, yeah,
I underlined that entirety too, and
Yeah.
yes,
and then down here I have this little arrow that says, "This is why I keep leading Bible study."
yes, yes. And it's a tough one for the person who is sharing with the person in the pew. In other words, the person preaching, teaching,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, it is. I
It's
should tell that
hard.
to Louise. I'll give that to Louise tomorrow.
Yeah, Sharon.
I think one of the things that I most appreciate about this Bible study, as opposed to some others I've been part of, is that we try to do that.
Yeah.
I
For
mean, we
20 some
really do
years.
try to learn what was going on then
Yeah.
and not just what some man tells us by way of the way he translated
Yeah.
those stories.
I agree. And bless Sharon for having a Jewish point of view.
Yes.
Yes.
I mean, it's important.
It's helpful.
Yeah.
Very
helpful.
I will tell you, Sharon, I have been paying, I have quite a few things on my webpage. Plus, I'm friends with some of the Jewish people in town that you probably know. And I've been paying
I
much
probably don't, actually.
I never thought of Jesus as celebrating Hanukkah and ever. And then it's the Feast of Dedication, Hanukkah. And I'm going, oh,
Yeah.
oh,
Well,
Well,
why
one
not?
would think the Maccabees would have been important to them
Yeah.
as they struggled against Rome.
Yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
well, they were important enough to spurn another revolt.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Something on Facebook yesterday showing pictures of Masada
Mm.
and relating it as like
Mm.
another Hanukkah story.
Yeah.
Uh, this Hanukkah thing
Hmm.
reminds me, as somebody just said, Jesus must have celebrated Hanukkah. But think about the Jews that are getting persecuted today. Was it like that in his day?
Mhm.
I'm thinking with the
Uh,
Romans, they were always fighting.
Could have been.
Mm.
Well, in his day, preceded the revolt, right? The second revolt.
Hmm.
And so, yeah, I would say, yeah, Jane, in order to revolt, there has to be a good number of years,
yeah.
time that would build up to that revolt, right?
I
Sometime.
often think that there must have been something going on of that sort because of so many remarks Jesus has made about the Pharisees and Sadducees. They're all related to the Romans as well as the Jews.
No, no, they're not related to the Romans in a political
But the
sense.
Romans were, if you're reading the history, the Romans were always taking after the Jews.
In what way? I'm not sure I understand.
For one, was huge taxation.
Oh, I see what you mean. But they they were a religious class, the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
Yeah.
Well, that was part of the Jews, wasn't it? But they were fighting those Roman soldiers and whoever, Caesar and all of them. They were always at odds.
Well, and also remember that the
Also
Pharisees
complicit.
yeah, I mean, there is that complicit, but there's also remember that the Pharisaic Judaism was sanctioned. So there was some safety in that. I mean, um,
Well,
and
sort of like the Chinese sanction a certain part of the Christian church in
Mhm.
China right
right,
now.
right. And trouble came as this new sect started gaining some notoriety because the new sect was not sanctioned. And
Yeah.
where trouble.
Right.
I have a question.
Yeah.
This is a little different, but it just hit me. Who was it? Mary Lou said that first line in chapter on 79, the birth of Jesus was and is an epiphany. And the question following that is, and how do we share that, continue to share that epiphany?
Mm-hmm.
She goes through, which I don't do so good sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have been a crab with Bruce lately, and I just,
Yeah. How did the world at large come to know that the Messiah is here? I mean, that's
I
a
think
great,
the Romans had a lot to do with that, right? They built all those highways and and they all traveled it. And
Yeah.
so even though they were the oppressor, they
Mhm.
were also the instrument of grace.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it took longer than I imagine when I read the scriptures.
Yeah.
yes.
It feels like, well, and then next week.
Yeah. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, like Paul was some kind of jet setter.
Yeah.
Traveling
Oh.
all over by private plane.
Exactly.
Right.
It really is startling how different the birth stories are from each other. I
Mhm.
mean, they cannot be harmonized. I mean, there are things in there that just cannot be. And the fact that the earliest gospel, Mark and Paul, doesn't mention the birth story was not important to them.
Yeah.
It was
That's
the,
important.
Kathy,
They-
John, the resurrection and the ascension was important to them.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
they don't mention them at all.
right.
So why is the birth story not important, and yet it is important
So
to
important
the
to us.
Christian
Yeah.
church?
I think that's a really a fascinating and interesting question. There's this one piece where Jesus's birth has to be in the line of the prophets. So you had storytellers connect Jesus to David. So how does that happen? It has to be connected through Joseph's line. And so then you get a story about going to Bethlehem, because that connects, that's that through line.
Right. That's the Levirate version, isn't it? That you see in Luke?
I don't know. Is it
Because
right?
you're connecting the Jewishness, the Levite
okay.
connection.
Connection? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciate Skinner's explanation of that because I never understood, and it's still a little difficult. I mean, patriarchy doesn't completely explain it because there was no DNA shared there.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And yet, in a legalistic sense,
Mm-hmm.
which to this day, I think that ultra-Orthodox Jews still subscribe to very legalistic ways
Mhm.
of looking at the mitzvot.
Mm.
That made Jesus in the line of succession from David.
Mhm.
Yeah. So there's
Yeah.
that's one of those pieces.
Mhm.
And then the Luke story with the prologue and
Yeah.
I mean, I fully understand the Mary's song. I understand Simeon and Anna and all. I mean, those stories give, is the word credence? What does he say about where does he write about Simeon and Anna? Deep in here somewhere. Well, in the Luke part, not in the Matthew part. And he doesn't write about this because we really don't get to this, is the people from the East coming. I mean, Skinner doesn't really write about that. But I mean, it does create this story about these very important people who come to worship this new person in the world, whether by the time they got there was a baby or a toddler or done much, there you go. But and the presence of that story threatens any emperor,
Mhm.
and that they have to go back. They have to hide. They have to flee and hide. That's a fascinating piece of Luke's story, right? Not
Right.
like anybody else's story. Yeah, yeah.
I've often wondered, how did the Eastern people, call them Chinese, know that it was time for somebody to be born in specific Jesus?
Well,
How did they learn that?
I'm not sure that that's the important part of the story.
Right.
Well, maybe it's not important, but it's a big question I've had all my life.
Yeah.
Well, it's an astrology. It's an astrology thing.
I mean, you can answer that question by looking at the stars. I mean, that's the way they would have answered that question. The important part of the story is them showing up, and bringing all that they bring, that gives legitimacy to this child who would be king in a very different way.
It speaks to the fact that, to me, I always wonder how much of it was revelation by the Spirit, the working of the Holy Spirit in their lives, but also how much of it did they know of the Old Testament? Because they were scholars, they were reading the signs. I mean, it's a really interesting story because, like you said, then it all culminates with the game. They followed, they did, they acted.
Whatever information, intel they got, and however they got it, they acted on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. I mean, it's just really, it's inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's quite a story. So Matthew, the first part of Matthew, we all know, which is not part of what we read, is to draw that through line. How important that is to this story. And then we pick it up at verse 18. And listen to what this one has to say. Does anybody want to read that?
I can start. I'm reading from the Internet Interpreter Study Bible, RSV. I'll read the first half before I start to cough again. Now, the birth of Jesus, the Messiah, took place in this way. When his mother Mary had been engaged to Joseph, but before they lived together, she was found to be with the child of the Holy Spirit. Her husband Joseph, being a righteous man and unwilling to expose her to public disgrace, planned to dismiss her quietly. But just as he resolved to do this, an angel of the Lord appeared to him in a dream and said, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Mary as your wife, for the child conceived in her is from the Holy Spirit. Next.
You will bear a son, and you are to name him Jesus, for he will save his people from their sins. All this took place to fulfill what had been spoken by the Lord through the prophet. Look, the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel, which means God is with us. When Joseph awoke from sleep, he did as the angel of the Lord commanded him. He took her as his wife, but had no marital relations with her until she had borne a son, and he named him Jesus.
Yeah.
It's a remarkable story in that the birth of Jesus is almost in a way an afterthought. The subject of that sentence is he took her as his wife, and until she had borne a son, and he named it, is really it's a clause at the end of that sentence.
Yeah.
And Mary is not important.
In this story, in this rendition, Mary is not. And Skinner makes that point on page 83. Mary gets little attention and comes across as more of an object than an active subject until the final verse that Catherine, pointed out. All we learn about her pregnancy is that she was found to be pregnant from the Holy Spirit. So he goes on to that middle paragraph on page 84, and no, not that one, a little bit further on, we have the Magi there. back down a little further on same page 84, back to Matthew's account. Don't let the lack of action in these verses distract you from what we do learn from them. Matthew crafts the story as one about God's initiative, God's trustworthiness, and the nature of what it is like to choose obedience in response to God.
Hmm.
That is something there.
We are singing a piece this Sunday. And help me, I will shut up. Sweet Mary of Nazareth, oh please. And so many of the Christmas things have given that, and I like the way that we're talking about it here, because I don't think we see her necessarily as, this sweet, submissive little character,
Mm-mm.
and it just drives me nuts. But I like what he has to say in here, that she is not a submissive little thing. And also, I like on the bottom of 84, Christopher Smith and I had a discussion about this last night, about Joseph, that Joseph is righteous. And I'm going, isn't there anything written for choir about Joseph? All the choir things are about Mary.
That's an interesting.
Well, it is. I mean, there's the carol, Joseph dearest, Joseph mine, but it's sung from Mary's standpoint.
Uh-huh.
And I'm thinking, well, that's just a side point. But yeah, the righteousness that Joseph wants to do the right thing.
Well, Joseph and Mary were engaged, and in the
Right.
Jewish picture, they had a vision, or people had a vision of them as being married already, though they did not have sexual relations.
Yeah.
And so he was fully humongously upset with
Should have been.
learning that she was pregnant, and yet he's got to set aside and not do anything to her. But his choice is fantastic when you think about it, that he didn't throw her out, and which showed that he had great love for her.
Yes.
Well, he took the blame, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
From the world's
Yeah.
perspective. He
from
took
the
the
world's
blame.
perspective,
And I think that it starts out that he was gonna give her up, right?
Yeah,
So
right.
he had to have his mind changed. It must
Yes.
have been brutal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, you think about it, because he knew what he was walking into. That culture
Mhm.
was not accepting of this.
Mhm.
Even when he took the blame, he was still the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like on the bottom of page 85, just before the last paragraph, where he says, a key point here is that it's a muddled situation,
Yeah.
and Mary's child is at risk of being born without a legal father, and therefore without the connection to David. And he talks about the genealogy, which of course.
Yeah.
So when did it change from genealogy Jewish being from patrilineal to maternal?
He wrote that in here, right? He talked
Yeah, he
about
did
that
say
change. He
Only
didn't
several
say,
centuries later.
yeah, he didn't say
It was
when,
Colonel
but he did say that was a change, and
I
that was
wonder why that was, because
kind
most.
yeah, that was new information.
Mm.
Well, I guess it was information I'd never
I
considered.
had neither.
Yeah, whether it was new or not, I guess I just never considered until I mean, I've known that how important it was to draw that line from Jesus to David, because to be in the line of the prophets.
Right.
But
Son of David.
that whole patrilineal rather than matrilineal, I
never.
even consider as a what was important with that.
Well, it is interesting how Mary's obedience is so central to the church. Lord, be it unto me according to thy will. And just countless paintings of that moment when she accepted what Gabriel was telling her. But as you know, Joseph's obedience
was just as important. If
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
But if you didn't,
yeah. Oh yeah, it'd be a different story. Well,
It'd
we'd
be-
have a different story, right? We'd have a different
Mhm.
catechist, right? We'd have a different person who was the
Can
mother
you imagine the tension
in that marriage
of those
Or-
of those first months leading up to the birth,
relationship.
and
Yeah,
then all the miraculous stuff around the birth, and
Yeah.
then the fleeing and all the tensions in
Mm-hmm.
that marriage, in that
Mhm.
family,
yeah.
because they both knew something that most
Nobody
people
else.
just
No.
nobody got for years, right? Talk about being on the edge of,
And we still
of your
don't quite-
community.
We don't
I
get
mean,
it, right?
You don't.
We just-
If you immerse yourself in these stories, sometimes it's like, wow, that was not a fun.
Mhm.
They might have been a great family internally, but it was not easy. Life,
No,
nothing
no.
was easy. So, I mean,
No.
you can't imagine that didn't affect you. And you think about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
They had a huge task to raise the
Shot.
Son of God.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
amazing.
There's so much. No wonder she went and stayed with Elizabeth for a
I
while.
was just
Yeah.
thinking about that. My other favorite part is,
Get out here.
I don't know if it's Luke, where it says, later on, Mary pondered all these things in her heart. In other words, she couldn't talk about it with a lot of people of what she was going. And if there were children later, now we're so tired of hearing that story.
Well, and did they get it? Because siblings, look at all the sibling rivalry is a whole other conversation.
Yeah.
We don't even get into that. The Bible doesn't
Mhm.
touch it because it's not important in the story of Christ.
Yeah.
But when you're living in that household, it is.
It sure is. So my parents received from that church we all grew up in, Our Lady of Grace Catholic Church, one year the Holy Family Award.
Ooh.
And my mom was so embarrassed. She was actually mortified because, she knew that we were not
Mhm.
a perfect family.
Right. Well, that's because we equate perfect and holy as
Exactly. She knew the truth of who we were,
Mhm.
and she felt like this award was somehow about having to be a perfect family. And I'm
What
thinking,
a stress.
oh, Mom, we're as dysfunctional as the pew next to us, right? But she just, she thought, and I mean, I think that's the misconception.
Mhm.
And you've said that so clearly. Boy, they were having a lot of inner turmoil, probably as dysfunctional as we ever.
Yeah. Hence the Christmas letter.
There you go.
Greg.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
They're okay if they're half a page long, but when they get over a page, boy,
Oh yeah. Oh.
My favorite part of this year's Christmas letter from a friend was being honest and saying that they live in Tennessee, that they finally agreed that they cannot chop wood like they used to. You have to know that they're very strong, but know that he's been sick, or friends who are honest enough. Speaking of which, I do have a dear friend who's supposed to have heart surgery in Wisconsin. His name is Joe, and they keep putting it off, and now he got another infection. It was supposed to be this week, and so later I'll mention prayers for Cindy and Joe. But yeah, we have to be honest.
Yeah. So and Mom never liked those Christmas letters. So what I do appreciate about Skinner here on page 86 is him making the ties to Joseph, the dreamer, and that
Mm.
Yeah.
and now in Matthew's gospel, another Joseph, because of his dreams, helps take the story forward as God. That's a wonderful connection that
Wow.
I've never considered before. That,
Yeah.
That was a revelation to me.
yeah. In the dream, Joseph addressed by the angel as son of David to remind us how important Davidic connections are in Matthew. Learns how Mary's pregnancy came about and what to name the child who will save his people from their sins. The angel's voice also instructs him to marry Mary, which he does before Jesus' birth. So this whole idea of obedience. Again, we did read along obedience, didn't we?
Yes,
We did that quite some time ago.
yes.
Along obedience in the same direction. That word obedience gets a bad rap often. And I mean, I think about Mary pondering these things in her heart. I think about her yes. I think about Joseph kind of going along with it. And, I think obedience is another one of those things that's really kind of murky. I mean, the whole idea of doing the next right thing, that's obedience, isn't it? Just putting one foot in front of the next.
That's what the wise men did.
Yeah.
Right? Obedience. That's what Joseph did. That's what
Yeah.
Mary did.
Yeah. Yeah.
The,
I don't think.
Nick, sorry,
No, you go ahead, Sharon.
that the sentence that begins with the angel gives him no token, nothing like a notarized document from God that can prove to other people that everything's fine and in God's hands.
Yeah.
That speaks
What page
to
is
what
that,
Annetta
Sharon?
was saying about Joseph's obedience made him willing to take the role of the bad guy.
Yeah. Yeah. And take the risk. Page 87, Anne.
Got it.
Yeah. I mean, what a choice, he says, and one made with limited information. If I were the one dreaming, I'd have a frenetic response for the angel. I want to know more. How will this son save people from sins? How and why is the Holy Spirit causing pregnancies? Exactly. How am I supposed to know how to parent a kid who's descended from God? Oh, my goodness gracious.
And the
Yeah, and,
unspoken, what am I supposed to tell my friends and family?
Yeah, that would be the hardest one.
Yeah.
I always wonder,
Now,
we
why
get a
do they-
snippet of what
Let's go
God
with
said.
Annetta and then Catherine.
We always get a snippet of what God said, right? But I wonder what the real conversation is like this. But like what information did he have? Or was it really that brief?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was so profound that
Yeah.
he
Yeah.
followed through. I mean, I always wonder that. Because your parents can give you the eye and you knew exactly what that meant,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
And so was that what happened here? Or was it like information?
Hmm.
I don't know. I would think about that. Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead, Catherine.
Well, I just find it interesting that the virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and they shall name him Emmanuel. And then 4 lines later, she had born a son, and he named him Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
Until she had born a son, and he named him Jesus. Is Jesus referred to as Emmanuel as the Gospels proceed, or is it always Jesus?
Oh, well, I forgot what Jesus means in the.
I love the word Emmanuel, God with us, but
Jesus always had the same.
Well, let's
when they
kind of
they s-
follow that. Emmanuel, God with us, God in our midst, is a a description, as well as a name of who this child is. The Epiphany, as Matthew Skinner starts us out in this chapter, talking about this is the Epiphany, the manifestation of God with us. And then Joseph, in his dream, hears that to name his child Jesus, God with us. I mean, and then we tend to attach the Christ to the name as well, which is Anointed One, Messiah. So, I mean, all of those things get floated around. And I don't know. Anne?
Yeah, so wasn't Jesus also from the Hebrew Yeshua?
Yeah, but does that mean,
Does that mean?
is that the same as Emmanuel?
No, and I can't find it. Skinner does tell us what Jesus means in
Mhm.
Hebrew.
Oh.
And I
I couldn't
thought I
find it, so
underlined
I
it, but
Googled it. And Google says that it means God saves or salvation.
yes.
The Lord is salvation. So then that's
And Matthew says it means God saves.
God
Yeah.
saves. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay.
I thought I knew it
I'm
was
not Matthew, Skinner. Well,
Right.
his name is
His
Matthew,
name is
so there
Matthew.
you go.
Yeah. God saves. Yeah.
so
So we have all of that going around. Emmanuel, God with us, Jesus, God saves. I mean, it goes back to what Skinner says is that this is about God's initiative, God's trustworthy, and the nature of what it is like to choose obedience in response to God. Okay, so Annetta and then Mary Lou.
But doesn't Matthew, or not Matthew, doesn't Joseph, or Jesus is a derivative of blah, blah, blah,
Yeshua.
of Joseph. So didn't he name him after himself?
Ah,
Mhm.
Jesus ben Joseph. I don't know. I don't know that.
To answer Catherine's question, I got out my Strongs.
Mm.
And Emmanuel, if you look up, Emmanuel is only mentioned in Matthew. So
It's such a
apparently it is not mentioned in the rest of the New Testament.
Really?
Yep. The only site is, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, Matthew 1:23.
Oh.
It's such a beautiful, beautiful word.
Yeah, it
Well,
is.
and that tells you how much, even when we try to not conflagrate these stories, we still do it, don't we?
Yeah, because we hear that a lot.
Mhm. No.
I think it's Handel's fault.
That Handel's fault. Could very well be. Oh, but we've got "O come, Emmanuel" too. That's
And then when
hilarious.
does the word Christ? I flipped through to the end of Matthew, and I don't think he refers to Jesus as Christ at all.
No.
Well,
Modern.
and I've always loved what Rohr said in the first line of his book. He says, Christ is not Jesus's last name.
Yes.
Right.
Who is that? Who is that, Mary? The what book?
Rohr.
Richard.
It is in the one, oh crud. I'll think about it. I'll think of it in a minute because it's my favorite Rohr book.
Yeah, it's Christ equals Messiah.
Yeah.
Neither of which are Jesus's surname.
It would be Jesus, Yeshua ben Joseph. Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Universal Christ.
Mhm. I think
Do
page
we want to
87
talk
on the
really
bottom.
quickly about
Oh, it's already
Luke?
done. We're already done. Almost.
I like on the bottom of 87. I think I should put that in the kitchen. That's what it looks like, but last paragraph. It involves saying, what you said, I don't know what the road's going to be like or if my journey will be easy or agonizing, but I'm going to walk it.
Yeah. No, I
Sometimes
think
we think we know,
yeah.
but it's much less, and that's the hope. And I think the other thing that's important is he says in here, and I can't find the page, somewhere the point that obedience is not the same thing as giving up all, that you're
No.
that
Giving
you're
over
gonna be
your
submissive.
power. No.
The concept of Mary is this submissive little thing
No.
that doesn't have any ideas of her own or anything, that we mistake obedience
Yeah.
in many ways. And I think that's been that's why I like I should reread that long obedience.
The next right thing is what.
You know, that's an interesting thought, because sometimes we do think that obedience is becoming less of us, less of who we are.
Mhm.
And it's not that. God made me who I am, and it's my job to use who I am to be obedient to him. And I think that that's a really good point, Anne, to remember.
Yeah.
Look at page 88.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bound up in our step-by-step obedience is a sense of trust in God, that God will take care of where we are headed. We sometimes need to be careful about how we express that to others, so they don't interpret it as a way of saying something inane like, let go and let God, or
yeah.
whatever happens is God's will.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, wait, read that next sentence.
Yeah.
I
Or
don't
two.
think that obedience to God and trust in God are about facing life with passivity. It takes discernment, discussion, and a
Yep.
willingness to put ourselves out there, sometimes to figure out what the next best step is.
Amen.
Yeah.
The next
That let go and
best
let
step.
God gives you the permission to not do any of what he has suggested,
That's right.
not to have any participation.
That's for sure.
Well, and I think the word passivity is really important there, because in some churches that I've been part of, that's what they want their congregants to be, is passive
Massive. Yeah.
and obedient to the person who stands in front,
Yes.
and not obedient to God, and allow
Oh,
God
yes.
to work through who we are and who he created. And I think that's really important as we reach out to the world around us, to let them be them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it still happens in all
Passive
other
consumerism in the church.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
things.
Okay, so we do have Luke left, and we haven't touched on that. And I am wondering if that's part of our conversation about what do you want to meet next Friday, Boxing Day?
Sure.
Does
Okay with me.
Can anybody not do that? Gail
I
from
won't be boxing. I can
Yeah.
make it.
Are you going to be at boxing, Gail?
I'm gonna be in let's see, next Friday, Barcelona.
Oh my
all right.
God.
Wow.
Oh,
Rough.
God feels so
I'm
sorry
excited.
for you,
Who's that?
or
I'm
at least
excited.
I don't.
When are you leaving for Barcelona?
Christmas Eve, and then we arrive in on Christmas Day, and I'm traveling with my daughter and her family, and the grandgirls are so fun to travel with, and but yeah, and then we're gonna go to Paris for New Year's. They're the
Wonderful.
travel bugs. I just tag along, luckily.
Lucky you.
Very
Wow.
lucky. Yeah, very, very lucky. So yeah.
Yay,
Right.
fun. Sounds good.
Wow.
Well, the
Yeah,
rest
I wish I
of
was
us
going to Norway.
soon. So the rest of us are gonna.
How long are you going to be gone for then?
We fly back on January 2nd.
Okay.
So
Oh, okay. Wow.
I know.
Nice
It's
trip.
right. It'll be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fun. Okay, well, I think the rest of us are going to meet next Friday then.
Yep.
We'll pick up with Luke. Did we want to pick up with John? John 1 or
Sure,
I
we
don't want
could.
to not talk about John. Would
We
make
not-
me sad not to talk about John.
Yeah,
we need to talk about John, right?
right.
So do we want to do 2 more weeks?
On this, I think we have to because we still have a lot of
Okay.
afterward stuff to.
So then, to send things out, because we do have at least one person who's waiting to know when we're going to start whatever we're doing next.
Oh, we do. Okay.
Well, Candace
Oh,
Kovar,
okay. I didn't know
if
that.
she's still interested. She had emailed me and said she wasn't going to start until the new year. So
Okay. When we start with the next thing.
anyway, so on the 26th, we're going to finish this up. And on the 2nd or the 9th.
And what are we going to do on the 2nd or the 9th?
Wrap up everything.
Everything. Oh,
Done and
yeah. Okay. So what do you think? 2nd? Do we want to meet on January 2nd or wait till the 9th?
Second is good.
2nd is good. 2nd is good. Gail won't be back quite yet.
Right.
But we record.
Yeah.
so-
Right. Exactly. I thought I'll
which
catch
is
up.
So great.
Yeah. Okay.
You can listen to it on the plane, Gail.
That would be an interesting thing. Okay. So next Friday we'll do John, Luke and John. Is that what we said?
Mhm.
no, what
Just Luke?
I'd have to read my thing from last week.
Okay.
We were going to finish this chapter in one fell swoop.
Oh, yeah.
And then the next time we met,
Mhm.
we were going to do John and the conclusion,
Okay.
the end, what happens after Advent. So
Yeah.
next week we finish
Luke
with Luke because we have to talk about
Yeah.
Simeon and
and Anna. Yeah, we
Anna.
have
Yes,
to do.
we do.
and I think that'll take us a while.
Yeah.
And then on the 2nd, we'll talk about John and what happens after Advent.
Okay. That sounds like a good plan.
Sounds good.
And
Would you put that in writing, please, Sharon?
I will try, Jane. I'll send you something. Hopefully it'll be right.
and keep thinking about, I mean, we're not at Lent yet, but keep that kind of ruminating what you want to do
Right, because
for Lent. Because we decided to do lectionary in the season of Epiphany, right?
Yes.
Yes.
right. So we have a few weeks
Weeks
to
before.
decide what
Yeah.
we're going to order.
Yeah.
That's the only.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one piece we can just download it. I mean, I can download it, and people who need a copy here, we can make copies. Maybe you can make some copies at Trinity and Janesville if we do it that way. Otherwise, we have to order something. So, okay.
Thank you.
Sharon,
Have
how
a
did
wonderful
you,
Christmas, everybody.
Yes.
you, how did
We'll
your,
be praying about the
Definitely
weather,
listen.
Annetta.
Oh,
Seriously.
thanks. Yeah. I'm watching the rain come down going, I
Oh,
know there are roofs missing in town.
oh dear.
Sharon, how
Yeah.
did your dentist go?
Oh, well, I must say your prayers worked. It was a big old nothing burger.
Good.
Thank goodness.
Good,
Oh,
good,
prayers.
good, good.
Tomorrow, Janesville is DIR is we're gonna do the Reads Across America tomorrow. Beth was smart enough to cancel it.
Yeah,
last
I'm so
week.
glad she did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're gonna do that tomorrow, so hopefully it will be decent weather.
And
Take care, everyone.
those of
Merry
you
Christmas
whom
to you
I
all.
made
Merry
crazy
Christmas.
in
Merry
getting
Christmas.
your addresses,
Yeah.
just remember that Christmas is 12 days.
Exactly.
My friend Karen used to always tell me that on Christmas Eve. You do remember Christmas is starting. So
Just
that's
start.
when I'm going to start doing Christmas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Yep.
Oh,
Take care.
take care,
Okay.
everyone. Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Christmas.
Bye.
Bye-bye.